Welcome to the debate. Look, I almost didn't even show up today after reading your latest newsletter.
Oh, here we go.
No, I mean it. Calling human vulnerability a top of funnel engagement strategy, it's profoundly bleak, man.
It's just reality. You just hate data because it proves your precious, tortured artist narrative is completely obsolete.
It is not obsolete, which, honestly, perfectly frames our topic today. We're looking at that massive, record-breaking 10th studio album from late 2022. And my stance is simple. It is a triumph of intimate, subdued pop craftsmanship. It translates private, sleepless neuroses into actual art.
Right, and my stance is that it's the greatest piece of B2C marketing of the 2020s. The art is fine, but it's basically just the payload for a revolutionary distribution mechanism. It's an industrial masterpiece, not a diary entry.
You literally cannot see the soul in anything, can you? It's all just content to you.
It's because it is content.
It's not just content. Listen to the sonic restraint on the record. The whole album is conceptually framed around 13 distinct sleepless nights, right? It explores real, visceral self-loathing and intrusive thoughts. And sonically, the production totally backs that up.
Yeah, by being incredibly quiet.
By using analog gear, they intentionally moved away from stadium pop and used like vintage synthesizers and mellotrons. These aren't crisp, algorithmic sounds. They have this creepy tape wobble to them. They pulled back the volume and let the imperfections just sit there in the mix. Listen to that one skeletal trap pop revenge track. It strips away almost everything. There's no massive pop drop. Or the track about the hesitation of falling in love, where the beat literally skips like a nervous heartbeat. That is real artistic risk.
Risk? Are you joking? It is the auditory equivalent of high-end modular furniture?
Oh, come on. Modular furniture?
Yes, think about it. It looks sleek, it has this veneer of bespoke minimalism, but it's completely standardized to fit seamlessly into absolutely any environment. That subdued sound wasn't a risk, it was a calculated mood board optimized for endless streaming loops.
That is so deeply cynical.
It's data. Look at the personnel. They brought in the absolute top-tier pop mixing engineer in the industry. He's the guy you call when you want a track to sound perfectly balanced, whether you're on a $5,000 audiophile system or like a blown-out phone speaker on the subway.
So, good mixing doesn't invalidate the soul of the music.
It proves the restraint is a structural necessity for modern playlisting. The dynamic range is explicitly controlled so it never jars the listener. It's ambient enough for background studying, yet rhythmic enough so you don't hit skip. It's an algorithmic triumph, my friend.
You are completely stripping the agency and, frankly, the bleeding human emotion out of the writing process. If it was just modular background noise calculated for a playlist, it absolutely would not resonate so deeply. Look at the lead single.
The one about self-deprecation?
It's way more than self-deprecation. It takes fat phobia and just exhausting, crippling self-hatred and turns it into a universal moment. I'm the problem, it's me. That works precisely because it's an uncomfortably honest confession.
It works because it's insanely catchy and highly mimetic for TikTok.
And what about that surprise 3 a.m. extended edition? Listen to that devastating track about religious trauma with the indie acoustic production.
Ah, yes. The indie credibility patch.
No, it's organic. You have actual electric guitars. You can hear the physical, emotional friction. She sounds breathless, like she's literally running out of air trying to process actual trauma. You cannot fake that.
I'm not saying the emotion is fake. I'm saying the deployment of that emotion is meticulously staged theater.
How do you stage trauma?
You literally tell the audience you're pulling the strings. Have you heard the closing track of the standard album? It is a massive meta-commentary. It's a confession that all this serendipity and romance is actually Machiavellian choreography. She's telling you she controls the narrative.
Well, yeah, but that track is about orchestrating a meet-cute because she feels unlovable if she leaves it to chance.
It operates on multiple levels. And speaking of narrative control, if the grief in that 3 a.m. trauma track is so raw, so uncontainable, why was it scheduled as a literal software update exactly 3 hours after the main release?
Because structurally, she wanted to separate the cohesive concept of the 13 nights from the rest of the writing sessions.
Because it's a brilliantly designed two-act event to manipulate the news cycle. Think about the mechanics. At midnight, everyone streams. Critics drop their rush reviews. Then at 3 a.m., boom, patch update. 7 unannounced tracks.
It was a gift to the fans.
It forced everyone to start streaming again from scratch. It doubled the first-day metrics. It completely invalidated the reviews that critics just published, shifting the power right back to her. The trauma was real, maybe, but its deployment was a calculated mechanism to dominate the weekend.
You are so obsessed with the mechanics that you're totally ignoring the actual cultural legacy of the art itself. You can't gamify your way to universal critical acclaim.
Watch me.
And you can't gamify winning Album of the Year at the Grammys for a historic 4th time. The industry recognized the artistic achievement.
Industry awards are just institutional marketing.
Okay, what about the listeners then? That ambient folk ballad about sudden loss on the extended edition. Almost immediately, it generated massive communities of people processing real-world grief, miscarriages, losing family members. You cannot market your way into people's actual grief. The art has to have a soul to do that.
You can't market the grief, sure, but you absolutely can engineer the container that holds the grief and monetize access to it.
Wow. That is actually sociopathic.
It's business. And when we look at the legacy of this album decades from now, the data proves its structural innovations broke the system. It became the first album in history to monopolize the entire Billboard Top 10, every single spot.
Because millions of people wanted the intimacy of those quiet songs.
Because millions of people were incentivized by a brilliant variant economy. She released 4 distinct physical colors of the vinyl, and the back covers literally form a clock if you buy all 4.
It ties into the thematic concept of midnight.
She gamified the physical supply chain. You are incentivizing the exact same consumer to buy the identical album 4 separate times to build a piece of furniture. It single-handedly pushed UK vinyl sales past CDs for the first time in 35 years. In an era where attention is totally fragmented, she manufactured a global monoculture event. The release architecture changed the industry forever.
You know what? You're just terrified of sincerity. You reduce this beautiful atmospheric translation of human neuroses into data points because you can't measure a soul.
And you think paying $70 for a mahogany-colored clock variant makes you spiritually enlightened?
You're genuinely a lost cause.
Yeah, well, at least my lost cause is fully monetized.